Hey everybody, welcome once again. This is Phil Joes here, Reading Smoke with Phil Joes here on YouTube every Thursday at 1400 Eastern Time. That's noon here in the Mountain Time where I live in the center here, Center West. And thanks for tuning in today. Today we have it's not a complicated problem, right? All of Reading Smoke, we always have the basics, right? Do your inventory the attributes, volume, velocity, density, color, right? That's where we always start, and very often that's a really quick read on when you're on your way in, when you're doing your 360, as you're masking up in front of the building. All these times are times when you should be looking at the smoke, trying to read what's going on, right? And most of the stuff that we go to, the patterns are recognizable, and the problem can be relatively straightforward most of the time. Now there are times when that's not true, but this is not one of those times. Right here we're on the Charlie side. We're going to see that there's firefighters also operating on Alpha, so some sort of coordinated attack going here with some outside and some inside work. But the fire's not a big mystery here, right? We have really evident, right? Really evident fire. Probably started in the kitchen and extended up, and I'm assuming this is the kitchen because it's right off of the sliders, right? Generally speaking, right? That's what that would be, is maybe the window over the sink or something like that. And we know these two spaces are connected. Even in the still photo we can see that, right? Pretty significant fire, pretty good smoke coming out here, pretty high volume, turbulent, thick black. Some very little of it's coming from here, where there's pretty good mix, right? Pretty good supply of oxygen, and then some more in the back. Then again, from the still photo, if we're looking at this inventory, right, we can start working our way around. We can see this window is open, and that tells us that likely this is probably a bedroom. Likely that the door to this room is currently open, and there's some sort of bidirectional flow, right? So some of the oxygen that's getting to this fire is going in this window, out the bedroom door, down the hallway, and then helping to feed this fire, right? So you probably have a bidirectional flow going on in the hallway with probably a pretty good flow pattern. I would guess a pretty good velocity. If you were in there, it'd be going over your head pretty quickly. Okay, we're going to be able to see the end of the building here in a second. But let's go back over inventory here. We do see some lighter smoke coming out of the end here. And let's get our live. Let's get it live. We'll look down. Some coming out here and some more coming out down here, but not a ton. Right? So this is where we say the low volume down here, even though the fire's in the attic, it's not spreading laterally. Right now, it's not spreading laterally. You got this line stretch. We're going to get back here in just a second. And pretty good action. Most of this smoke here is coming from sort of the backside of this here, but we do have this a little bit there, and then we're going to get a quick gable end, and wow, right? Significant volume, high volume, turbulent, thick, black smoke coming out the gable end vent, clearly pushing this way. Right, and so what we're doing here is the fire attack is just getting underway. The initial attack from outside. While this is going on, you're going to see the officer come up, move this stuff out of the way. People are firefighters are searching in here. You're going to see them working. My guess is there's a line being stretched from the other side, but I don't know that for a fact. Right? I'm just projecting out what I think is going on. Right? But what we want to do on this reading smoke section, right, is see the pattern and then have an expectation when this fire attack begins, what's going to happen in these other areas. Now, typically, right, the typical signs of a fire attack that's underway is one is a decrease in overall fire action here, right? We're going to have a decrease in heat production, a decrease in smoke production, right? Just because the water is getting in there and starting to change those BTUs, absorb them, change into steam. So we might have an increase right, in overall smoke volume, but the color is going to change dramatically. We're going to go from in the black and the gray and the brown, mostly on the black side of the grayscale, to copious volumes of clean, pristine, dissipating white, otherwise known as steam, right? So the other thing we're going to see, because we're going to kill the BTU production in here, is we're going to see a rapid decrease in the overall volume and velocity, right? So volume, velocity, and density are going to all drop off, and that should be our expectation, right? Once that fire attack begins, we're going to want to come back and check in with the smoke, do another inventory, and see if our expectations have been met, right? So we have those expectations right here. We can get going. We'll start to export now. A little bit of comments in the not be perfect. Export that, and if you look at the research water map, you start to see how it's good back up. There, it's going to get the water up inside here, which is going to cut off any extension down that attic. It's going to get cut off in the short term, right? And we really can see on the kitchen, and we notice when we watch right here that you got smoke present, right? This trails off. There's a little mixture here that trails off. And we're going to see if there's completely disappear. Right? And that's a combination of factors as the fire attack gets underway. One is the decrease in the production of smoke to begin with. Remember, smoke is fuel. If we have a fuel package, wood, wool, cotton, plastic, the counters, the cupboards, all that stuff that's in the kitchen, right? When it heats, it releases flammable gases, right? Vapors, gases, and particulates, right? So, aerosols, sorry about that, but aerosols, gases, and particulates, right? So, a lot of the aerosols and the gases are flammable, and they get pushed out the end, and that's our smoke is fuel. So the heat come out here. So one part is getting the water on the surfaces and cooling it so it's get off gases, right? So stop the production of those gases. And then just going to be here as it drops off, so it's gone, right? The other impact, right? The other impact is that as we cool the gas column, it contracts, right? Back from physics in high school, the volume, right? The given volume, if we decrease the temperature, the volume decreases, right? So we, by taking the temperature and dropping it from 800, 900, 1,000 degrees down into the zone of 212-ish or lower, if we can, that causes gas contraction. So we have a combination of factors there. One is we stop the gases from being produced initially, and we cause gas contraction by cooling those gases as they're working. You can see here those firefighters coming in from the other side. And I don't go a ton deeper into this video because what I'm really looking to get out of this week is just this understanding that we look at these patterns, we understand what our expectations are, and then we see those expectations met. That tells us that all of our stuff is coming into alignment, right? It's all coming into alignment, so we're working it out. The tactics, the strategy, all that stuff's working the way that we want it to work. And the other aspect of this one is to understand that not every fire has to be super complicated. In fact, most fires are relatively simple and straightforward. But we want to make sure that we're reading the patterns as often as we can, because the more those patterns are put in our brain, right, the more chance we have to recognize, right, recognition prime decision making. We have the opportunity to recognize when those patterns are being met, and right when those patterns are coming into alignment with our expectations, and more importantly actually is the ability to say, hey, this is what I expected, but the pattern is not coming into alignment with what I expected based on the tactics and strategy that your fire department, that you, right, are implementing in this particular case, whatever the case may be, right? So yeah, having that big, huge volume of pattern and the real depth of understanding of what's going on in these situations and how we can improve our service to the citizens, make our fire attack faster, more effective, all that sort of stuff, right, is what's going to get us to where we can see that the pattern's working, but where we can see quickly when a pattern's not working. Okay, so we talked about the smoke coming out here. Also recognize that we really decrease the smoke coming out of this window. Like, watch it decrease quickly too. So if that has positive impact, yeah, I mean, if there's somebody in here, right, if there's somebody in here, when we start decreasing those gases coming in to this bedroom and therefore coming out of this window, the temperatures are going to go down, the level of oxygen is going to go up. It increases their opportunity of survival even before we get in there and make those searches, right? Even before we go in. So you can see it almost completely drops off, and around the same time as this on the end drops off, it's completely gone here. Now this is 100% intake now, right? Temperature's going down, oxygen levels going up. And we can look down here and go, wow, man. I mean, there's almost nothing down here now. Some residual smoke. Certainly we keep an eye on that over the next 8 to 10 minutes. But basically, this fire's been cut off on both ends, and now they're killing it in the middle, right? Okay, so if you want to see where I'm teaching, next up is FDIC in Indianapolis. That's August 2nd to the 7th. I'm teaching on Wednesday right after the opening session. So if you see me there, that'd be great, right? If you see me around the halls or something, man, please say hi. It's going to be great to see everybody. A whole slate of events after that, really busy in the fall. California, New York, Pennsylvania, Texas, right? I'm going to be out there teaching and seeing everybody. If you're using these videos for training, I'd love some feedback on that. Direct message me or send me a comment. I like all that kind of stuff, right? So thanks, Rob, for tuning in. Got Rob Fisher on the chat today. Thanks, Rob, for tuning in. I'll see Rob tonight with the training group I have on Thursdays. I also do a training in the evening on Thursdays. Rob's part of that. But thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. And for Reading Smoke, this is Phil Jose, and I'm out.